A white rabbit hopped beside me, and for a moment I thought it was a blob of snow that had fallen out of the sky. The rabbit and I studied each other. Rabbits taste like chickens. My mother and father had taught me how to hit rabbits over the head with wine jugs, then skin them cleanly for fur vests. "It's a cold night to be an animal," I said. "So you want some fire too, do you? Let me put on another branch then." I would not hit it with the branch. I had learned from rabbits to kick backward. Perhaps this one was sick because normally the animals did not like fire. The rabbit seemed alert enough, however, looking at me so acutely, bounding up to the fire. But it did not stop when it got to the edge. It turned its face once toward me, then jumped into the fire. The fire went down for a moment as if crouching in surprise, then the flames shot up taller than before. When the fire became calm again, I saw the rabbit had turned into meat, browned just right. I ate it, knowing the rabbit had sacrificed itself for me. It had made me a gift of meat. When you have been walking through trees, hour after hour, and I finally reached trees after the dead land, branches cross out everything, no relief whichever way your head turns until your eyes start to invent new sights. Hunger also changes the world. When eating can't be a habit, then neither can seeing. I saw two people made of gold dancing the earth's dances. They turned so perfectly that together they were the axis of the earth's turning. They were light. They were molten, changing gold. Chinese lion dancers, African lion dancers in mid-step. I heard high Javanese bells deepen in mid-ring and Indian bells, Hindu Indian, American Indian. Before my eyes, gold bells shredded into gold tassels that fanned into two royal capes that softened into lion's fur. Manes grew tall into feathers that shone, became light rays. Then the dancers danced the future, a machine future, in clothes I had never seen before. I am watching the centuries pass in moments because suddenly I understand time, which is spinning and fixed like the North Star. And I understand how working and hoeing are dancing, how peasant clothes are golden, as king's clothes are golden, how one of the dancers is always a man and the other a woman. The man and a woman grow bigger and bigger, so bright. All light. They are tall angels in two rows. They have high white wings on their backs. Perhaps there are infinite angels. Perhaps I see two angels in their consecutive moments. I cannot bear their brightness and cover my eyes, which hurt from opening so wide without a blink. When I put my hands down to look again, I recognized the old brown man and the old gray woman walking toward me out of the pine forest. It would seem that this small crack in the mystery was opened, not so much by the old people's magic as by hunger. Afterward, whenever I did not eat for long, as during famine or battle, I could stare at ordinary people and see their light and gold. I could see their dance. When I get hungry enough, then killing and falling are dancing too. The old people fed me hot vegetable soup. Then they asked me to talk story about what happened in the mountains of the white tigers. I told them that the white tigers had stalked me through the snow, but that I had fought them off with burning branches, and my great-grandparents had come to lead me safely through the forests. I had met a rabbit who taught me about self-immolation and how to speed up transmigration. One does not have to become worms first, but can change directly into a human being. As in our own humaneness, we had just changed bowls of vegetable soup into people too. That made them laugh. "You tell good stories," they said. "Now go to sleep and tomorrow we will begin our dragon lessons." One more thing I wanted to say. I saw you and how old you really are, but I was already asleep. It came out only in a murmur. I would want to tell them about that last moment of my journey, but it was only one moment one of the weeks that I had been gone, and its telling would keep till morning. Besides, the two people must already know. In the next years, when I suddenly came upon them or when I caught them out of the corners of my eyes. He appeared as a handsome young man, tall, with long black hair, and she as a beautiful young woman who ran bare-legged through the trees. In the spring she dressed like a bride. She wore juniper leaves in her hair and a black embroidered jacket. I learned to shoot accurately because my teachers held the targets. Often when sighting along an arrow, there to the side I would glimpse the young man or young woman, but when I looked directly, he or she would be old again. By this time I had guessed from their sexless manner that the old woman was to be the old man, a sister or a friend rather than a wife. After I returned from my survival test, the two old people trained me in dragon ways, which took another 8 years. Copying the tigers, their stalking, kill, and their anger had been a wild, bloodthirsty joy. Tigers are easy to find, but I needed adult wisdom to know dragons. "You have to infer the whole dragon from the parts you can see and touch," the old people would say. Unlike tigers, dragons are so immense. I would never see one in its entirety, but I could explore the mountains which are the top of its head. These mountains are also like the tops of other dragons' heads, the old people would tell me. When climbing the slopes I could understand that I was a bug riding on a dragon's forehead as it roamed through space, its speed so different from my speed that I feel the dragon solid and immobile. In quarries I could see its strata, the dragon's veins and muscles, the minerals, its teeth and bone. I could touch the stones the old woman wore, its bone marrow. I had worked the soil which is its flesh, and harvested the plants and climbed the trees which are its hairs. I could listen to its voice in the thunder and feel its breathing in the winds, see its breathing in the clouds. Its tongue is the lightning, and the red that the lightning gives to the world is strong and lucky. In blood, poppies, roses, rubies, and red feathers of birds, the red carp, the cherry tree, the peony, the line alongside the turtle's eyes, and the mallards. In the spring when the dragon awakes, I watched its turnings in the river. The closest I came to seeing a dragon whole was when the old people cut away a small strip of bark on a pine that was over 3,000 years old. The resin underneath flows in the swirling shapes of dragons. If you should decide during your old age that you would like to live another 500 years, come here and drink 10 pounds of this sap, they told me. But don't do it now, you're too young to decide to live forever. The old people sent me out into thunderstorms to pick the red cloud herb, which grows only then, a product of the dragon's fire and dragon's rain. I brought the leaves to the old man and old woman, and they ate them for immortality.